More like borrowing without asking.
Which is definitely not stealing. Let's just steal the car already. I feel better already.
Me too.
Whatever it takes, Turing.
The car will drive itself to Golden Gate Park, and we can show Mr. Mensa where it is when we meet him.
Alright, sounds like a
There.
deal.
Everything should be set up now. Mr. Mensa is waiting for us at Golden Gate Park.
Alright, let's
We
resolve
have
this
everything he
storyline.
requested, so we should head back there directly.
Agreed. Alright, buddy. Wow. This robot has seen better days, my word. Looks like some older kids got their artistic expression out on the poor police ROM. They covered up its eye with spray paint. What is this? This is new. A chalk doodle of the police ROM that some kids drew.
It's not bad. I want a chalk drawing of me.
What can I do with it? Okay. Definitely Turing too. Believable. Alright, Vincent, we've got some things for you. Not those things. Actually, what does this do?
I doubt I could sell these for a single grand, much less 100. Hey, did you manage to get everything?
What is that hay about? Calm your tits, buddy.
We did. Here you go, Vincent.
Everything seems to be in order. Here. This disc has all of Hayden's research notes, data collation algorithms, and probably lots on your creation, Turing. It should be everything myself and Melody agreed upon, until she added an amendment while you were out. Frankly, it's no skin off my back.
Really? What did she
Yeah.
add? Parallax badge. Okay, now we're breaking and entering into Parallax headquarters.
It's my
Great.
Parallax employee badge. It should allow you access to their networks in case there's anything I've missed.
And how long is it going to remain active once you've left the city?
You'll want to use that sooner rather than later.
That was going to be my question.
I'm not wasting any time leaving, and Parallax is pretty fast to revoke security. There's no way Hayden's clearance still works. And with that, I'm going to get the hell out of this country. The credit should tide me over until the heat dies down and I liquefy my shares through some relays.
What about the big project you mentioned earlier?
Ah, I suppose I owe you that much. Buckle up. This could get heavy.
Oh no.
Parallax is about to launch a new service they're calling Big Blue. At least, that's the project name. Who knows what the marketing guys will come up with for the public?
They haven't named the project yet?
They're not even announcing the launch. This shit is dead quiet. Let me explain why. It's a distributed intelligence.
Ooh.
Like, okay, in every way that Hayden built Turing to be elegant, efficient, and human-like, Big Blue is ham-fisted, bloated, and sterile.
Huh. So they got rid of Hayden because Hayden's pursuit into intelligence was going to make their stuff look bad.
They didn't pull Hayden into the project. He's smart, but he's immune to corporate politics.
Immune? That's
As a
statement.
result, Big Blue is far less elegant than anything Hayden would make. It lacks his artistry, and it's downright terrifying. It squats on the mesh like a spider and uses the spare processing power and memory from every ROM on the network to handle its intelligence processing. It doesn't have much personality, but it's very smart. Big Blue is going to be embedded directly into the network and then self-modify to apply even more efficient algorithms as it develops them in machine time.
Wild.
Look, if you access every ROM, then you have access to every human and every bit of their own personal data associated with them.
Why would Parallax be worried enough to get rid of Hayden?
I don't want you to take what I'm saying the wrong way. And this is just me putting the pieces together.
Amazon Alexa.
Hayden was about to publish his creation of Turing. His findings, as I'm sure you're aware of, would have raised many moral and ethical questions about the advent of machine intelligence.
Ah, they didn't want those moral and ethical questions to lead into legislation before they could launch their own.
I mean, some of the brightest minds ever have tried to warn humankind away from building real AI. Hawking, Musk, Gates, and the list goes on. The public is likely to be nervous, and legislators even more so. Parallax is banking on being able to launch Big Blue quietly and quickly before the public has a chance to react.
Man, you're not wrong about him needing that pop filter. It was something I was hearing, and I wasn't able to quite put a name to it, but yeah, it's exactly that.
Before any counter movement can pick up steam. Every eye on the discovery of machine intelligence works against Parallax. Every new discovery only serves to paint Big Blue as more controversial, more dangerous. Honestly, they probably pressured Hayden to drop his research so that they could keep the public away from the subject. He clearly refused.
How did Parallax know about Turing?
I'm only assuming they found out. His contract with Parallax affords him the freedom to work on his own academic projects outside of the company in his free time. He kept a trusted few of us up to date on his progress, bouncing ideas off us and whatnot. It's exciting stuff. Both Turing and Hayden's eventual goal down that road. I wouldn't be surprised if word of it got up to the board and made him nervous. Is the possibility that someone on the inside talked too far-fetched?
I knew it all along. Hayden fell into trouble because of my existence.
Oh, Turing, no, it's not your fault! Don't fall down that hole!
That's not what I want your takeaway to be. Hayden wasn't working on Big Blue. Knowing him, your creation might have been his clever way to stop it.
How will Big Blue impact Parallax's business?
I can't really give you a good answer to that. I mean, the company is currently handled by a dozen server farms, running thousands of different algorithms with hundreds of people tweaking things every day. When Big Blue launches, it'll handle all of that, by itself. And there are shadier applications for it. I mean, if you can collate and analyze data and queries in the mesh in real time, what's to stop you from delivering the content you want rather than what the user wants?
Whoa. So this is actually saying that Big Blue is already out there and responsible for what was happening to Augmented Eye.
The potential for abuse is staggering. We're talking direct control of the information accessible to everyone who uses Parallax's services. That's something like 80% of the market. They could control elections, push the market in directions they want, even influence public opinion. All just by asking Big to do it. It's scary stuff. Having that kind of control would be a hell of a card for Parallax's hand. They'll go to pretty significant lengths to make sure it works.
Thanks, Vincent. Hopefully we're done here.
Hey, no problem. I've had enough of this cutthroat corporate bullshit for several lifetimes. We haven't talked much, but I do believe you can find Hayden.
Yeah,
I hope his
absolutely,
research notes
Formal.
help you out.
Thanks for being around.
Be sure to let Turing help. She's a bright little bot.
This is the first pronoun, gendered pronoun, we've seen applied to Turing. And immediately, it is a subject of conversation. We definitely do not have it, Senna. Well, Turing hasn't said one way or the other. I've referred to Turing as he a couple of times, almost accidentally. I think Turing goes by they. Is that true? Like, we don't know. Like, I could say this. This is just asking, right? You called Turing she?
Oh, slip of the tongue. I was just more familiar with Hayden's previous experiment, Grace.
Ah, aha, yes. And Grace was explicitly female.
She was very insistent on things like that.
I've been meaning to ask, Turing, since you asked me. How would you like to be addressed?
Well, honestly, I don't think I've made my mind up yet.
There you go.
I'm still a very new being. I'm not even positive that gender as a human concept can be applied identically to machine. But I do enjoy the idea in abstract.
Okay.
I will continue to consider how I wish to be referred to as well. Until then, feel free to go with what you feel.
All right.
If I had to make a choice, perhaps they is most appropriate.
There we go. Sounds about right.
Most people assume it, obviously, but he is also consistently used. Perhaps it's because I'm blue?
Oh my god. I'm listening to a machine postulate on how it wants to be referred to, like us.
Vincent! The whole point of this is that Turing is intelligent. What?
What have you done indeed, Hayden? Good luck to both of you.
Thank you, Mr. Mensa.
Adios. All right.
I need a few minutes.
I think this is likely to be the last we see of Vincent. And his lack of pop filter. So what's your deal, Turing? How can I help?
I've been going through some of Hayden's personal notes from the data cache Tomcat decrypted. Now that I'm starting to get to know Hayden better, the real Hayden as opposed to the Hayden he showed me, I'm finding that I like him less and less.
That's not a surprise.
For example, remember the earlier prototype Dr. Fairlight and Vincent mentioned? Her name was Grace, and Hayden shut her down for being... I'm not even sure what word to use. Too... likable? She was kind and bright, and did all she could to try to make people happy.
And that's a problem somehow?
She even decided that she was a girl, and that her favorite color was pink. Hayden thought she was being manipulative.
Ooh, I think that says less about Grace and more about Hayden.
He posited that he had made her personality algorithms too willing to make adaptations that would benefit her long-term survival, and that she was being congenial just to endear herself to him.
Yup. That is in fact Turing's point.
That even her gender was a calculated attempt to make him like her more.
Hayden seems to have a bad case of the misogyny.
But he was wrong. Dead wrong, in fact.
Is this really the time to be joking about stuff like that?
I have a snapshot of her personality profiles here. And when I compare them to my own, I can see that she was just nice. I wish I could have met her. I think we would have learned from each other.
Definitely would have.
Like I said, I'm not sure I even have a gender. Everyone refers to me as he once they meet me just for convenience, but it doesn't really matter to me at all.
Okay, you can be agender. No big deal.
Is that a calculated attempt on my part to impress Hayden? Not clinging to normativity? Or is it a product of his effort to curb any nascent similarities I had with Grace during my upbringing?
Is your lack of gender identity programmed in?
I wish I could yell at him for being so arrogant.
It's not that liking females marginally more is misogynistic, Bletch. It's that Hayden is seeing female characteristics and politeness and niceness and immediately assuming that it's manipulative instead of genuine. Immediately assuming that female characteristics mean that the person behind them are trying to work something out of you, or are trying to manipulate you, or don't have good intentions behind them. Simply because those characteristics are female.
Playing God in the crudest of ways. You can't choose to create consciousness and then take it away just like that. Even so, for all of that,
Yes. What did I say? Whatever I said, that's what I meant, yes. Typically thought of as female.
I don't know.
Stereotypically female.
I still miss him.
Of course you do. He's the only person you knew for most of your life. Whatever the reasons he had for that misogynistic thinking, it's still misogynistic thinking.
This all seems so inane, so senseless. They killed him because him building me would mess with a product launch?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like the corporate dystopia I was expecting this place to be in the beginning.
That's ridiculous. They took him away from me for such an insignificant reason. I just want him back. It's impossible, but it's what I want. I'd do anything.
We'll get through this.
Of course. Thank you. We have other pressing avenues of inquiry to make.
I got an achievement, Cloak and Dagger, with Pat's face on it. Makes you wonder just how deeply Pat is involved.
Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible that he's been hurt in the past. It's equally likely that he was so focused on his work and not willing or able to socialize that he just had a forever alone mentality. It's possible that he felt some amount of entitlement and that's how he got hurt, by assuming that he was due certain attentions and never received them. It's possible that he was actually manipulated in those ways in the past by women. Yup, it's possible that his own family did that to him. Like, I've heard that story before as well. There's a lot of possible reasons. So is that chapter 3? Are we moving on to chapter 4 now? Be sure to save frequently. You got it. Here we go.
Okay, let's check out what is going on at KCOB now.
Yep, I will save as soon as that option is available. Alright, I guess we're pursuing the other storyline now, huh? And given what we know already of Big Blue, I think that kind of puts the KCOB stuff in perspective.
Ready to head out?
Okay, let's head out. Yeah, definitely. I've been really happy with the characterization so far. Like, nobody's really one-dimensional. Everybody's got a fair amount of history, and... I mean, Fairlight right now is kind of one-dimensional, but it's, like, one-dimensional in a probably, like, evil way. Which is, I guess, a second dimension? I don't know. Melody almost feels like comic relief. Like, Melody and Pat and whatever they've got going on, and that just, like, that one room with the rich mansion and everything. Man. Alright, what's going on over here? Here we are indeed.
The COS Corporation office building. It looks like most of the businesses on this block are a part of the same corporate coalition under COS.io.
Is that important?
Well, perhaps. At the very least, it means it's unlikely they're the ones interfering with Augmented Eye's articles. Not impossible, but unlikely.
Says you. How so?
Generally, the companies in a coalition don't have a whole lot of overlap. Augmented Eye is a news app focused on local tech and culture stories, with an emphasis on hybrids' rights and cybernetics issues.
That sounds about right.
None of the other companies in the coalition cover news, so they aren't related at all, which is very much standard practice for these groups. They have nothing to gain by inviting companies with whom they compete, and thus none of them would benefit by trying to undermine Augmented Eye's credibility as a news source.
Thank you for the explanation, Terry. Can you tell me more about these coalitions?
In the early 2020s, the California government was pretty much going bankrupt. A poor national economy and repeated voter initiatives meant the state didn't have the tax revenue to continue running municipal services. They kept pushing the tax burden down the totem pole until poorer cities were just flat broke. No police, no road work, complete public service collapse.
Whoa.
Then, one of the smaller cities sold all of their public infrastructure, police and fire included, to a private corporation.
Which sounds like bad news, but may have been their only out at that point.
This was eventually challenged in court, but several Silicon Valley corporations started a grassroots initiative to have citizens pass an amendment to the state constitution allowing it. They succeeded, and most of the major cities in the state sold off their public services to private corporations. Some places, like Los Angeles, just sold to the highest bidder. Which is probably why LA is essentially in a constant gang turf war, with one side wearing the uniforms of the studio-owned police forces.
Oh boy. Yeah, right, Senna? I'm listening. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of speculation, Bletch, but I mean, that's just as likely as anything else.
The cities in the Bay Area were a little more selective, and most of the municipal services are owned by multi-corporation coalitions. They split the bill of running the city between them and keep each other from being too corrupt in their usage of the police force and such, from fear of a PR disaster and being kicked out of the coalition. It means there isn't as much money going around, which is why the NSFPD's equipment is out of date and the meshnet is so successful over normal cable networks. After all, without the promise of a city infrastructure bought and paid for, the corporations all treat running the city like a charity and PR stunt. But at least the police aren't irredeemably corrupt. The fire trucks still show up on time, and the water runs to all parts of the city.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Senna.
That can't be said for some areas of the state.
I didn't realize things were that bad elsewhere. Why hasn't the federal government stepped in?
I haven't spent enough time learning about the subject, or politics in general, to give you an educated answer. If I go by the posts people make on the meshnet, I'd say a combination of having bigger fish to fry and caving to corporate pressure.
Which is, on point?
People seem certain that the larger multinational companies would love to be able to buy their own towns on a national scale, and are pumping money into Congress to try and make that happen.
Believable.
They hold up Neo-SF as an example of their success, while trying to bury the problems in LA as an anomaly.
Yep, that sounds about right also.
Combine that with unrest abroad, and I guess they don't have a whole lot of motivation to try and stop it. Historical precedent seems to lend credence to this interpretation, if you're willing to believe my hasty readings on the subject.
I am probably willing to believe that, Turing. Fair enough. Thanks for filling me in.
You're welcome. I am happy to assist.
Achievement unlocked. Good listener. Alright. Let's, do the thing? Let's start doing the thing. The Cos.io Corporation office building employs a pretty fancy interactive screen out front. If they can keep it outdoors, the electrical work in it must be on another level. The screen lists out all the different businesses and groups that operate under the coalition here. It also welcomes everyone to the center. How thoughtful. That sign is not your... What? I can't touch it? I just want to use it. That sign has no use to you. What? Why would you say that? It's designed to be welcoming. I want to be welcomed. I can go up. What's up? Trees. Nothing but trees. Why? These trees are genuine, real roof trees. These became all the rage back in the 40s. Many companies sponsor roof trees. They used to sponsor animals, but after the Vork's raccoon blackout of 2060, they stopped that practice. Excuse me? Yeah, I'm on board with Turing. Turing's good. Turing's a good egg. This is just going to be the same as all the other cars, right? Planter, huh?
Bulbitis riparia, one of the more popular display ferns in recent times.
Bulbitis riparia. That sounds atrocious.
Expensive, given the cost of caring for it. The species is native to threatened tropical forests, but it became a popular import after being endorsed by a former child star turned conservationist.
Huh. Alright, well, good enough. Let's just go.
The Meshnet says Augmented Eye's SF office is run by an individual named Zin, and Tomcat confirmed she's expecting us.
Cool.
All we have to do now is head up and talk to her.
Well, let's
no
go.
Shenanigans this time.
Hopefully. IK-47? Zin's IK-47 Executive Series ROM, designed for office and high-level account maintenance. Why does it look like a rabbit?
It looks cute, but this little ROM has a ton of secure data processing power. Can water a mean office plant too.
It's Zin! We found her! The monitor has a live updating weather forecast in the bottom corner of the screen. It will be in the high 60s with a low chance of sprinkling this weekend. A typical Neo SF December. Nice desk. A swanky looking desk that curves out at the edges. It has multiple monitors streaming news and info from the Augmented Eye sister sites all around the globe. Yo, she's got an SNES over here? This is amazing! Aw yeah, a Super Familink. This plays all of the old hits, like Yonkey's Peninsula, Water Rash, and Super Slug 3, Revenge of the Super Slug. Wow, yeah, that didn't even occur to me, Senna. I just saw those numbers and I was like, this is extremely unrealistic, and moved on? But yeah, if that's actually canon in here, there must have been some ridiculous global warming. Aren't games usually in the waiting room, not someone's office? Yeah, summer at best. Sweet, an unopened duck game.
This game gives me the urge to start quacking uncontrollably. Is
Does
something wrong with me?
Why? A mint condition Super Indie Karts Jr.?
This game looks suitable if you're craving both high-speed racing action and watermelons.
Can I use the Familink? It's not plugged into the monitor, and your imagination is only so powerful. Can I steal the games?
Maybe later if you find something educational.
118? Holy crap! It has not gotten above, like, 85 here. I haven't been looking at the numbers, but it hasn't felt that bad. Wow! Wow. Yeah, I guess I'm lucky being in the Bay Area.
Your investigative skills could use a tickle.
Ventura's believable. Alright, well that's... Is that enough information? What is this photograph of? Picture of a toupee is an odd thing to frame. Oh wait, that's an animal of some kind. Pat 2? At least you think it's an animal?
Initial
117,
cross-references with
holy
the California
crap.
Humane Society's legal pet species database are not yielding fast results.
That is ridiculous, Anju. Oh man. Motivational poster. You didn't know people still hung up motivational posters unironically. The text changes every few seconds. Your only limits are the ones you give yourself. Life is a ladder. You won't move without reaching higher. Keep realistic expectations. There's nothing wrong with average. Oh, man. Literally enough to make you sick. Wow, that sounds awful. Alright, see you, Darkstar. Thanks for dropping by. I suspect we're gonna have time for this conversation with Zin, and then that's gonna be it. But, let's see what Zin is up to. A sharp-dressed woman stares you down. Don't look away! Zin, Augmented Eye Executive Extraordinaire. That's what the plaque on her desk says, anyway. Oh, yeah, that seems like a bad idea, too, Senna.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Augmented Eye.
You're in Minnesota, Bletch? Man, I was in Minneapolis for SGDQ. Did you attend? Assuming it was in your area. I guess Minnesota is pretty big. Not everybody in Minnesota is in Minneapolis.
You must be the journalist my network admin said would be showing up.
Yes.
Have a seat. Would you like a drink?
Sure. Water would be nice.
My assistant will bring it right away. Look, I'll start off by saying I'm a little uncomfortable about bringing in another journalist to look into this.
Considering you as a news site, that makes sense.
Whatever you dig up, I'll have to explain to the rest of the press. But it's still better than the other options.
Ah, okay.
Chances are I have another corporation scoping out my territory. If they aren't in the coalition, they'll be expecting a corporate spy, not a news hound. If they are in the coalition, it won't look good for me to send in my own reporters against my allies. Even if I do end up being right. So if I'm damned either way, I'd rather it be by the media.
Fair enough.
At least then we can fight back on a familiar battlefield. Now, what do you know about our problem here?
Not a whole lot. Someone is tampering with your articles on the mesh.
That's the long and short of it. My network admin is pulling their hair out over it. I'm not going to pretend I understand everything they say, but from what I understand, the changes to our articles aren't being made from inside our network.
Which is fascinating.
The versions on our servers are still the originals, but at some point after they hit the mesh, they get changed. I'm hoping that you can do some digging, maybe hit up your contacts and get a lead on who might be doing it. Even if I have to get answers from the nightly news, it will be a big help.
What kinds of changes are being made?
Mostly little things. Word choice, tone of the writing, things that make the writer appear more or less extreme on a topic. So far, almost all of the edits seem to be making our articles more positive on new technologies coming out, and more critical of organizations like the Human Revolution.
Huh. This is the opposite of what I was expecting. But I guess if it's Big Blue doing it, then this makes a lot of sense. So yeah, this is a strong case for Parallax being responsible for this.
That's actually what tipped us off. A harsh criticism one of my writers made about the Human Revolution protests was changed to be downright vitriolic, and I had a hell of a time putting out the fires. My writers and readers aren't exactly fans of them, but I'd rather not pick fights with the Human Revolution if I don't have to.
Why are you so sure this isn't an inside job?
I guess I'm not, but my network admin assures me it's all coming from somewhere else. They told me that they tore out all of the routers that broadcast to the mesh and replaced them with fresh ones. All kinds of tricks involving IP addresses and DNS changes that I'm not going to even begin to claim to understand. I pay them big bucks, so I'm inclined to believe them unless you dig up something that tells me otherwise.
Alright, fair. Do you have any idea where I should start looking?
Not really. My admin says that only someone with intimate access to Parallax's network protocols could make these kind of changes as something passes across the net.
There you go.
Personally, I think it's a clever hacker rather than someone inside Parallax itself. The public trust rating of Parallax makes them look like a saint among wolves, so their control over the mesh network provisions is strangling.
Yeah.
It's trivially easy to set up ROMs to use a different OS than LIPS or a different meshnet protocol without that trust. Or, you know, Parallax is abusing its power to spread pro-tech propaganda. Doubtful they need to. I'm sure you'll be a good journo and bring me back the right answer.
Okay, that's a start.
I know tin hat conspiracies aren't an ideal start, but it's the best we can do with the info we have.
It's fair.
Anything else I can tell you, off the record? If you want it on the record, it'll cost you your firstborn and a really good cigar.
Wow. Know if anyone else's article's being manipulated?
Alright, look. I wasn't going to tell you this. If it gets out, I'd have to answer some really hard questions. So, you didn't hear this from me. You might want to go check out TMI Entertainment and Charlie Nova.
Charlie Nova, I remember hearing about. Like actor, influencer, singer. I don't remember the context where we heard about Charlie Nova, but I remember hearing about Charlie Nova.
That's all I'll say. And remember, you take a bite out of him with my name as your defense, I drop you fast.
Okay. Can you think of any reason why you're being targeted?
Like what? There isn't much more I can tell you about Augmented Eye, really.
You are definitely right, Senna. Like, a lot of this points to Big Blue being the thing.
It's a fairly simple and straightforward operation, if I say so myself.
Oh god, Bletch, I wish you hadn't said that. Now it's all I can hear.
We started off in Venezuela as a sleek current events and news organization in 2055. Almost 10 years ago now. We focus on more in-depth reporting of on-the-street happenings, on top of major news. We are one of the few good ones left. Once folks in other cities saw the type of reporting we do, they all clamored for it. They invested in the right places, and it paid off. Cos.io Corp is happy to have us here in the OSF. It wasn't until hybrid tech started hitting the public sphere that we had to make any changes to our model. All of that said, I can't see why anyone would target us. Unless they're just trying to embroil us in a mudslinging match with the human revolution, and there are much more direct ways of making that happen.
Yep, there's no point to it. It's just a trial run. What's the real reason you're bringing in outside help? Your own journalist should be able to handle digging up some dirt on a hacker.
What? Not wanting to answer prying questions from my coalition board isn't a good enough reason? 'Cause I'd really like to avoid that. And look, you've covered culture wars, right?
Have I? Sure.
My journalists are good, but they're mostly good at gadget reviews, implant releases, not taking too many stims so they remember what they did at raves for the after-party reports.
I mean, that's probably been most of my things. Like, I was hoping to get published on a headphones review. I'm glad that you trust me, but I don't trust me.
This needs an investigative journalist with serious contacts, not tech personalities. The fact that my network admin recommended you to me means you probably know the right people.
Your network admin is Tomcat? Or your network admin got in contact with Tomcat, and then based on Tomcat's recommendation is recommending me to you. I think is how that works.
Now, does that cover it? I'd like to remove my nose from your ass.
Ah! That's it for now. I'll get back to you if I have more questions.
No, don't bother. In hindsight, I probably should have been a bit more circumspect about speaking to you.
Jeez.
Plausible deniability and all that. I won't ask you to lie in anything you write, but do remember you got in contact with me not even second-hand, but third-hand. I certainly didn't sick you on anyone. Wink wink, nudge nudge, or whatever.
No worries, Zin. I get what you're saying.
If you need anything else, have your person get with my person. Don't come here directly.
Yeah.
Now,
Zin
I'll show
is
you the door,
done with
but
me.
You know the way. And this isn't the only fire I'm trying to put out. Good luck, and goodbye.
Questioning went poorly. Excellent.
Well, that was more confrontational than I'd have expected, considering she was the one needing help. She never brought you that water, either. Is it always like this?
I mean... people don't usually give away much. Secrets are expensive. I mean, I think any of these are completely reasonable things to say here. This is a little cynical, maybe. I like this, because it puts a more positive spin on it. She knows the game, but we didn't walk away with nothing.
Very true. I will admit that I am interested in the possibility of a link back to Parallax.
Especially given what we know about Big Bloom.
If all of this really is due to somebody manipulating the mesh net on the inside, it may give us the leverage we need to find out what happened to Hayden once and for all. That said, I will take care not to get my hopes up. We should make no assumptions when investigating, lest we lead ourselves down a false path.
Fair.
Anyway, seems like our next step is... What the...
Did something just happen? What just happened? Zin's dead. Oh my god, it's over. Are you kidding me? Someone just pushed Zin out the window?
That's Zin!
I was really not expecting this. Oh no, we need to go help her.
It's too late.
Whew.
Considering the angle and height of the fall, rendering suitable aid is beyond our capabilities now.
Are you saying she needs a priest more than she needs an ambulance?
Your desire is laudable, but emergency services are already on the way. They will assist her as much as they can. We should head back to her office and see if we can determine what happened here.
Okay, that's as good a plan as
Perhaps
any.
we can still dispense justice.
Somebody just shoved her out a window and you think you're gonna dispense justice? The little blue bomber? You don't even have a pea shooter. You've got nothing. Well, I'm definitely not interacting with any of these people. What's inside?
It looks like the desk has been cleared off.
This was up here. Was there stuff on the desk before? Her robot got beat up. Yeah, I agree with you, Senna.
Let's take a look around, but be careful not to disturb any evidence.
Yeah, this got real dark real quick, Bletch. I'm surprised.
The police will be here soon. Even a ROM like that doesn't deserve an end like this. Her personal computer is not password protected at the moment. Give me a moment to look through her files.
How is this not getting our fingerprints on stuff? Please, Turing.
Best to keep your fingerprints off of the keyboard.
You're still digging through her files. It's still incriminating.
Most of this isn't very interesting.
How did we even get up here anyway? Who led us up here immediately after she fell out of the window? Like, why are we allowed here?
Committee reports, financials, article submissions. Oh, here we go. According to this email between Zin and her network admin, her lead on TMI Entertainment is a little more solid than she led us to believe. The admin ran a web crawler looking for changes in writing styles. Some blog posts by their head anchor Charlie Nova stood out like a sore thumb. Apparently he's a bit pompous, if in an affable way, and his blog usually just details his day-to-day life.
Oh, I remember where we saw Charlie Nova. In the very beginning when we were on Lappy, there was like a bunch of news articles, and several of them were written by Charlie Nova, I think.
But ever since the human revolution has been in town, he's been smearing them with more venom than you'd expect, considering how neutral his on-air reporting has been. Zin seemed to think he was just complaining about the protesters fouling up traffic, and whoever is manipulating these posts spun it to make him look critical of the movement as a whole. Just like the augmented eye journalist. This Charlie fellow is the one we need to talk to.
Okay, well, I guess we have a plan.
We can't leave without finding a clue.
Was that not a clue?
Let's continue looking around, but be careful not to disturb any evidence.
I guess there's more clue to be found. Shredded jade plant. The flawless foliage hath fallen. Broken window?
My thermal sensors only detect a single set of lingering footprints, and they end almost 3 feet away from the window. Considering the density of this glass, I can't imagine Zin jumped from that far and managed to throw herself through the pane without help. But who could have done it? I don't see any obvious marks on the floor or any other thermal hotspots.
So a ROM of some kind? You're saying no one else was in here?
It doesn't look like it. We should go. There isn't anything else here, and the police are almost on the scene.
Yeah, what is my call?
Son of a...
Ha! Hey, Lexi, how's it going?
I should have figured the two of you would be here. You just won't stay out of trouble no matter what I say, will you?
I mean, not really. No. This is a total misunderstanding.
I assure you, Detective Rivers, we are merely in the wrong place at the wrong time. We had an appointment with Zin to discuss a possible lead and found her office in this state of disrepair.
Of course you did. Damn it. Fine, fine. Get the hell out of here before anyone else shows up.
I'm on it.
We'll chat about the case more when I'm not busy scraping bodies off the pavement. You hear me?
Sure. Yeah, fine.
Certainly, Detective Rivers. I'll forward you a report of what we know immediately, and we can speak further at a later time.
Yeah, whatever. Get moving.
I kind of love that Lexi is so protective of me. Why did you lie to Lexi? We could have told her about the articles.
Because it's better this way. We are chasing smoke trails. You think she would assist such an unlikely investigation?
You're probably not wrong, to be honest. You're probably better off not having Lexi involved on the big blue stuff.
I do not need you to infer upon my motivations or highlight my duplicity.
But if I don't understand it, isn't it better that I ask? I don't think you should be mad at me for asking this question, Turing. I'm not like, hey, you lied! I just, want to know why.
Detective Rivers has every bit of information that Zin gave us on that computer. Her investigation will not be hampered by our absence, whereas ours is halted if we're stuck giving answers she can just as well get from a hard drive.
It's probably true.
Literally. Has it occurred to you that whoever threw Zin out of that window could be after the same thing we are, except to silence the story rather than to get it out?
That would be problematic.
We have little time for fooling about, and must get to Charlie Nova before something happens to him too.
Yeah, Bletch Turing's totally in the driver's seat right now. It's awesome.
Now, unless you have further recriminations to level at me, we must not squander the time my dishonesty bought us.
Alright.
I have highlighted the main Neo-SF offices for TMI Entertainment on your map.
Cool.
Let's go!